Hey everybody, it's Scott with Hawaii Jet Boat Adventures. It's late November 2019, and this is part 3 of my dual battery installation on the SX190, the Yamaha jet boat. In this episode, we're going to install the new accessory electrical bus, and I'm going to run some new wires. In past episodes, I've installed a second battery and I've installed the switch. Both batteries are connected, but in this episode, we're going to change out that yellow wire to a black wire so everything is similar. And I show how I remove the old accessory wiring and install the new accessory wiring. Because the old stuff, I put in these very thin wires with these little devices that were attached right to the battery, and you'll see here, I actually had to attach it to the switch to make the dual battery switch work properly. So in this episode, I'm going to do away with those you can see the little red wires in the upper left. I'm going to do away with that little red wire and that little red box, and install some heavy-duty marine grade wires back up to the new electrical box, or the new electrical bus. And then I'm going to install all the two accessories that I'm running. I'm going to install those into that new electrical bus. Everything is the Blue Seas systems, the mini added battery and the electrical bus with the fuses. Everything is Blue Seas. Now what you don't see here, and what you're going to see in the next episode, is the relay, the charging relay, and all of the fuses. So step 1, we've got to disconnect the power from everything. This is the negative that runs back up to the dash into my do-it-yourself electrical bus. Again, I can't stress, I go out almost every weekend on the boat, and if you're not paying attention to your electrical connectors, they will start to corrode. So there's the two connections that feed the do-it-yourself electrical bus up at the dash. I'm going to change out the yellow wire. I didn't like having this yellow wire as a ground wire going over to the battery. That bothered me since the day I put it in, but since West Marine didn't have any black wire, I had to use that. But we're going to end up using the yellow wire anyway, and it's still going to be a ground, but it's going to be used to send the power up to the electrical bus. Of course, always use the proper lugs. Now it's important to note that these lugs will fit the Blue Seas systems mounting bolts. They're very large, and they're actually larger than the ones on the Blue Seas electrical bus. So on my new positive wire going back up to the electrical bus, you will see that I had to put two different ends, one to fit the switch and then one to fit the electrical bus. So I'm getting everything ready. I've got everything disconnected. I'm pulling the new ground wire over from the second battery across the span of the engine bay up into the port side where the existing battery 1 is. You see the corrosion. I got all the corrosion off of it again, and I'm going to lube it up so it will maintain some kind of integrity before it starts to corrode again. So running the new wire, number 6 gauge, up from the switch up to the dash. Again, they didn't have any red wire, so I'm having to use white. What a pain. But you've got to overcome and adapt. And so what you're going to see here is I'm going to put an end on that fits the back of that switch, and at the other end where it goes up to the dash, it's going to be a smaller lug that fits the electrical bus. And this is the channel you're going to run your wires. This is inside the dash, and there you can just barely see my do-it-yourself electrical bus there. So I've run the wires up now, coming out. I used 18 feet. I could have used another 2 foot, but 18 feet worked perfectly. So that little thing right there with the blue tape on it, that homemade thing, is now being traded out for a real serious Blue Seas Systems electrical bus. You'll notice that lug right there does not fit the Blue Seas switch, so I have to use that at the other end for the electrical bus connection. Disconnect this, pull it back through to the other side, along with the negative. There's all the wire. That lasted for what, 2 years now? Almost, yeah, 2 years exactly I've had that wiring system in there. Here's my do-it-yourself one I made 2 years ago. It started to rust. I haven't been up in here for quite a while. Everything was solid. Also note up there in the upper left is the steering, the steering wheel cable. I lubed that up as well. Boy, that made a huge difference in my steering wheel yesterday when I took the boat out. And I didn't realize how tight the steering wheel had become until I greased it, and now it's like power steering. So out this comes, got to disconnect the power. And eventually you're going to see the Blue Sea Systems electrical bus put in sideways. It's fully fused. It comes with one fuse, and I added all the other fuses. I have a bunch of fuses lying around from all the American cars I've had over the years. Now this electrical system, or this electrical bus, only is carrying power right now from my depth finder and my VHF radio. All the other accessories that come with the boat, the radio, the courtesy lighting, all of that, I've got to find out where those wires are, and then bring them to this bus and get them off of the main #1 battery. I used the same mounting holes. There you go, it's installed. The yellow wire, of course, is the negative wire, and the white wire is the positive wire. While I'm in here, this is where I greased the linkage for the steering. That made such a huge difference. Now it's time to disconnect the power lines from the depth finder and the VHF radio and install them on the electrical connection. On the electrical bus. So that's the negative side. So you put your negative wires on those ones to the right, and the hot wire, positive wire, to the ones with the fuses. So now this is battery number 2, and it is carrying 2 negative wires and 1 positive wire. I'm tightening everything back up, and you can see that that's just facing the back of the boat. You can see the yellow wire has gone back up to the dash. So the yellow wire is the ground wire from battery 2 to 1. The new white positive wire is strung up from the switch up to the dash, 18 linear feet. The yellow wire is connected to the second battery and strung up to the dash, and the old do-it-yourself wiring was removed. I am going to go back in here and add a couple more of these larger wire ties to fully support this. And of course, to make sure everything worked, I put everything together, turned the power on, the radio lit up, the depth finder lit up, the VHF lit up, and then I started the boat, and it worked perfectly. So the next episode will be installing the charging relay and the fuses. We'll see you next time. Aloha.